Hello, and welcome to our lesson on the relationship, dependency, and integration between risk management and other project management areas. This segment will cover the Introduction, Part 3. Here's how risk response plans impact other project areas. For scope management, risk response plans define how project scope may need to be adjusted in response to identified risks. For instance, if a risk related to technology dependencies arises, the risk response plan may include contingency measures, such as reducing the scope of dependent features or identifying alternative solutions. For schedule management, risk response plans define actions to mitigate schedule risks and minimize schedule delays. For example, suppose a risk related to resource availability is identified. In that case, the risk response plan may include strategies such as resource leveling, outsourcing, or adjusting task dependencies to ensure that project schedules remain achievable. Cost management. Risk response plans define how project costs may need to be adjusted in response to identified risks. For instance, if a risk related to material price fluctuations arises, the risk response plan may include measures such as renegotiating contracts, hedging against price volatility, or identifying alternative suppliers. Quality management. Risk response plans define actions to mitigate risks that could affect the quality of project deliverables. For example, suppose a risk related to insufficient testing resources is identified. In that case, the risk response plan may include prioritizing critical testing activities, outsourcing testing services, or extending testing timelines. Human resource management. Risk response plans define actions to mitigate risks related to team dynamics, skill shortages, or resource constraints. For instance, if a risk related to key team members leaving the project arises, the risk response plan may include measures such as cross-training team members, hiring replacements, or redistributing workloads. For communication management, risk response plans define how stakeholders will be informed about identified risks and the actions being taken to address them. For example, the risk response plan may include communication strategies such as regular status updates, risk workshops, or stakeholder briefings to keep stakeholders informed and engaged throughout the risk management process. For procurement management, risk response plans may include strategies to mitigate risks associated with procurement, such as supplier delays, quality issues, or contract disputes. For instance, if there's a risk of a critical supplier not delivering on time, the risk response plan may include identifying alternative suppliers or negotiating penalty clauses in contracts to incentivize timely delivery. Risk response plans can involve adjusting procurement contracts to address identified risks. For example, suppose there's a risk of price fluctuations for raw materials. In that case, the risk response plan may include negotiating fixed-price contracts or including price adjustment clauses to protect against cost increases. And for stakeholder management, risk response plans may include specific strategies for engaging stakeholders in risk management activities. For example, the risk response plan may outline communication channels and frequency for updating stakeholders on risk mitigation efforts, soliciting feedback, and addressing stakeholder concerns related to project risks. Risk response plans can incorporate strategies for resolving stakeholder conflicts arising from identified risks. For instance, if there's a risk of conflicting priorities among stakeholders leading to project delays, the risk response plan may include conflict resolution mechanisms such as mediation or escalation procedures to address disagreements and maintain stakeholder alignment. In summary, Risk response plans have a significant impact on other project areas by defining actions to mitigate risks and minimize their impact on project objectives, timelines, budgets, quality, team dynamics, and stakeholder engagement. By integrating risk response plans into project management processes, project managers can enhance project outcomes, minimize uncertainties, and increase the likelihood of project success. This is the end of this segment of our lesson. In the next segment, we shall discuss the relationship between risk management and other project management areas. Part 1. This course is presented to you by South Europe College. Thank you for listening and see you on our next segment.